This depends on the criticality and the cost to replace the machine and the downtime incurred during a failure of that machine. In applications where there's redundancy and the cost of failure is low, then a run to fail can be an effective program. The problem is that this situation does not apply to critical rotating equipment. But we see that situation all the time. We see 1,100 megawatt steam turbines running at 500% above condemning limit. How is that even possible? You can't run to fail a nuclear power plant. I'd also argue that you can't run to fail any critical piece of rotating equipment. The interesting thing here is, how is this even possible? I've thought of this for a long time on how critical rotating equipment can possibly run to failure, okay? The reason it's happening, I think, quite often is an overzealous financial control over the company, where they just have a complete lack of understanding of the consequences of cutting maintenance below a certain threshold. And we've had so many experienced people retire, and the knowledge has not necessarily been passed on, so we're left with new staff that doesn't have necessarily the training or experience to push back on that aggressive budget requirement. And maintaining lubricants to ASTM 4378 is obvious, and it's required. And that's your pushback. But most people have never heard of it. So I would recommend, for $60, you can buy the standard, you can own it and share it within your company. And when you get the request to cut maintenance, you can push back saying, no, the governing body for oil specifications says we have to do this. Rather than run to fail, the mentality should be run to profit. In order to shift from a reactionary to a proactive role in this, you need to step ahead. You need to make sure your fluids are following ASTM 4378, and that your senior management understands why you're doing that. And by doing that, you can bring in a completely different level of predictability in terms of the cost and also the revenue. And in most cases, the cost of one unscheduled outage is going to far exceed the cost of oil testing and maintenance for the entire life of the turbine. So when you look at the trade-offs here, where you're guaranteed to have one or two unscheduled failures over the life of the turbine at a minimum, and to completely remove that from the table through just what you should have been doing in the first place anyways, with proactive management following industry standard guidelines. The starting point is really the biggest point. Download and buy ASTM 4378, implement it in your company, and watch the run to profit occur.